So part of my acceptance journey has been that portion in the literature where it talks about having to get to a place where we cease fighting everything and everyone, which was really hard for me. When I first came into recovery, my sponsor and others around me used to say, try not to be so angry. And I was like, what the hell do you mean? And really, I did not understand what they were saying, because if a person's angry 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they don't think of it as angry. It's just my normal. I didn't think I was walking around angry. I was walking around being me. And so having to have that experience in recovery where you have that moment without anger and you have that sense of relief and comfort that comes from just being around the fellowship and being in a good mood and having a great day, even though your life is still falling apart, and recognizing that it's not the end of the world, was like the most amazing experience ever. I didn't know that I could be happy, but I held on to that anger for so long. For 18 months is exactly how long I held on for it, because I know when the turning point happened. I was in the fellowship in San Jose, California, and at the men and women meeting on Monday nights. And it was a big meeting, like more than 100 people. And they had a podium and a microphone. And when they called on you, you had to walk up to the front of the room and talk into the microphone. And so they called on me that night. And I wasn't having it. I was not happy being in AA. And I wasn't happy being an alcoholic. And I wasn't happy with any of those things. And really what it was a lack of acceptance. And so I got up there and I said, my name is Solis. I'm an alcoholic, and this is my last meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And they all just sort of laughed. And I was like, no, really, seriously, I'm walking out of here. And I don't want to be one of those people that you all talk about at Denny's after the meeting, like whatever happened to Solis. So I am telling you up front, I am leaving. But before I leave, I'm going to tell you why. And I started going down the row and calling people out. I was like, you talk about service. I've never seen you pick up a coffee cup. And you talk about greeting the newcomers. You're talking about the cute ones. I've never seen you greet an ugly one. And I just kept going down the row. And I got down to poor Doug H. And I ran out of things to say. So I just said, your hair is so perfect. You carry the message of good grooming. I think you're all a bunch of effing sheep. And I think if this old timer over here walked off the cliff, the rest of you would follow. And I'm not following. Good night. And so if you've ever been to meetings in the Bay Area of California, when someone finishes sharing, they clap. And like that night, they cheered. And I sat down and I started crying because I felt like I'd hit you with both barrels, like I'd unloaded the last of my ammunition. And what I really wanted was people to come up to me that night and say, yeah, you're right, you can't stay here. You're way too sick for us. You gotta go. But instead, there was a long ass line of people waiting to give me a hug after the meeting. And I just remember my sponsor coming up and saying, ooh, okay, so we're all a bunch of effing sheep, huh? He said, well, keep coming back. He said, I'm going to help you with your own analogy. If we really are a group of sheep and the wolf is represented by alcohol, which one do you think he's going to pick off? The one who's been trying to get away from the flock. And for the last 18 months, that's been you. I suggest you plant yourself in the center of that flock, the center of AA, where it's safest and the wolf can't get you. And I think I finally reached a level of acceptance that night that I hadn't yet reached, because I started to understand what it was they were telling me. There was an old timer in the group, Gordon, who had more than 50 years sobriety. And he came up to me, he was in that line, and he came up and he said, do you want to know the secret to staying sober? And I was like, yes, I want to know the secret to staying sober. He said, this is the secret to staying sober. It's just this. Let us help you. That's it. Let us help you. And the truth is that I had been fighting and doing my best to keep you at arm's length and not letting you in, because you know what's way, way, way harder than putting down the drinks and the drugs? Way harder. Letting you get to know me. That's the kind of vulnerability that I was not prepared to give to the 12 steps or anything. I want you to like me, but I don't want you to know me. That's insane. The whole idea that you could possibly love me on the level that I really want to be loved, but not reveal to you who I am, is just not possible. And so I did have to get to a level of acceptance, and I had to get to a level of surrender. And I don't know that if I had not done that, that I would have been as successful and happy as I've been in recovery.